An OpenAI key leaked through a next public prefix racked up $8,000 in just 4 hours. The key was baked into the client bundle and scraped by a bot. The next public prefix behavior described is consistent across Next.js 12 through 16. However, in Next.js 14+, the app router is the default, and server components are the primary pattern. The article's examples using server actions and server components align with the current recommended architecture. No breaking changes to env handling are expected in the near future. The article mentions pre-commit hooks, but doesn't show a concrete implementation. Below is a Husky pre-commit hook that scans for next public variables with suspicious names and blocks the commit if found. A common pitfall: next public variables are inlined at build time, so if you use next build locally and then deploy the built output, the values from your local env.local are baked in. For production, always build in the same environment where the variables are set, e.g., CI/CD pipeline or Versal build step. Otherwise, you might accidentally expose local development values. Let's break down environment variables and configuration in Next.js 16, how it works, and the exact mistake behind that failure. Environment variables in Next.js let you configure your app without hard-coding values. The next public prefix inlines values into the client bundle at build time, making them publicly visible. Unprefixed variables stay server-only, resolved at request time. This distinction is a security boundary, not a naming convention. Next public is a build time substitution directive. When Next.js encounters process.env, next public var, it replaces the entire expression with the literal string value at build time. The value is baked into the JavaScript bundle and cannot be changed without a rebuild. It is visible to any client-side code. Here are some commands to check if you have next public variables that look like secrets and whether any secrets are exposed in your built bundle. Use these to audit your project. Server-only environment variables never use the next public prefix. They are accessed only on the server, in server actions, API routes, or server components. To use a secret in a client feature, create a server action that wraps the secret access and returns the result. Never pass the raw variable to the client. Here's the correct pattern. Use useServer for server actions that access secrets and server components to fetch data and pass it to client components. Never access process.env in a client component. Runtime validation at server startup catches missing or misconfigured environment variables immediately. Define a ZOD schema, parse process.env on module load, and crash with a clear error message if validation fails. This prevents deploying with broken configuration. Here's a complete ZOD validation schema for environment variables. It validates all required vars, provides clear error messages, and gives you type-safe access throughout your app. Environment variables are not a security silver bullet. Use defense in depth, IP restrictions, usage limits, least privilege, and automatic rotation. Assume every secret will eventually be exposed and design accordingly. Here's a utility that wraps API calls with budget checks and usage tracking. It verifies IP restrictions, monitors usage against a daily limit, and logs all API calls for auditing. Next.js loads environment variables from multiple env files in a specific priority order. Env.local overrides all others and should never be committed. In production, variables are set in the hosting platform's environment settings, not in env files. Here's an example: env file setup. Note that env.local contains secrets and is git ignored, while env production has reference values only. Production secrets come from the hosting platform. Next public is for values that are intentionally public, like Google Analytics IDs or public API base URLs. Never use it for secrets. If you're unsure, assume no. Add pre-commit hooks and CI checks to catch accidental exposures. Here's a decision guide for what belongs in next public. Safe values include public IDs and URLs. Never put API keys, database URLs, or any value with monetary cost. The pre-commit hook shown blocks commits with suspicious next public variables. This is the same issue we highlighted at the start. Here's exactly why that happened. The developer used next public OpenAI key in a client component. At build time, Next.js inlined the literal key into the JavaScript bundle. A bot scraped the key from the bundle and used it to call OpenAI directly. The key had no IP restrictions and a $10,000 month limit, so the bot ran up $8,000 in charges within 4 hours. The OpenAI API key was prefixed with next public, causing it to be inlined into the client bundle at build time and scraped by a bot. The fix involved several steps. Regenerate the exposed key, move the API call to a server action, using userver. Add IP restrictions to the new key, set a $100 hard usage limit with $50 alert, add ZOD validation that crashes on startup if a next public secret is detected, and add a pre-commit hook to catch future mistakes. This is the mistake that caused the $8,000 incident. Using next public for an API key inlines it into the client bundle, making it publicly visible. Never use next public for secrets. A common mistake is assuming env.local values are available in production. Env.local is only for local development. Production values must be set in the hosting platform's environment settings. Without runtime validation, a missing environment variable causes confusing runtime errors instead of a clear startup failure. Always validate at startup with ZOD. Here are commands to debug environment variable issues. Check if the variable is set in the deployment environment, scan for next public secrets in source, check the built bundle for leaked keys, and red ZOD validation error messages. Let's run through some common interview questions. Explain next public and its danger. Build time substitution inlines into bundle, visible to all browsers. Design secure env.var system. Use unprefixed vars, ZOD validation, server actions, defense in depth. Build time versus runtime vars. Next public inlined at build, unprefixed resolved at request time. And a few frequently asked questions. What if I accidentally used next public for a secret? Regenerate the secret, remove prefix, move to server context. Why does my env.var work locally but not in production? Env.local not in production, set in hosting platform. How to access server-only env.var from client. Use server action or API route or pass data from server component. Let's recap the key takeaways. Next public inlines at build time into client bundle. Server-only env.vars stay on server. Use server actions for secret access. Validate all env.vars at startup with ZOD. Ready to go deeper? Up next, testing Next.js applications, unit, integration, and E2E testing, then internationalization, I18N in Next.js 16, then self-hosting Next.js, Docker, Node.js, and deployment strategies, and OpenTelemetry, monitoring, and observability in Next.js 16. Find them all at TheCodeForge.io. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at TheCodeForge.io.